Good evening, everyone. Welcome on this lovely Saturday evening to the Trinidad Humanity Campaign public meeting number 11. Only four more to go after this one, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening in, whether it be on the live or afterwards. We thank you for viewing, and we hope that the things that we discussed today make some sense to you, seem reasonable, and make you think a little bit differently and consider a little bit differently in as to your intentions this election for towards voting and who you're going to lend your vote to. Just make sure my volume is where it's supposed to be. All right. So, what shall we discuss this evening, guys? I know I come on here without anything really. We just finished our walkabout in North Valsine. We covered the entire North Valsine area today. If anyone from North Valsine is listening, I do encourage you to please, if you find your flyer in the mailbox, that's our mini manifesto. All we ask you to do is to read, see what we're about, see what we stand for, see what kind of plans and policies we have for our electoral district, for your electoral district, Valsine St. Joseph in this case, and the other electoral districts we are contesting, which is Glencoe, Goodwood, La Puerta, Kumuto, Tamana, and Paradise, Cora, Tacarigua. We only have four candidates in this one, but at least we have four candidates in this one. That's important. So I've only gotten to speak to a couple of people today, unfortunately. It's not Valsine, so not everybody is outside their houses. Everybody's inside. And we don't go around with any music truck or loud microphone or anything like that to disturb anybody. One, and two, not to, make a fet and a party out of speaking to you about what we can do for you in governance if elected. We think that if we discuss governance with you and if we're coming to see you about those matters, then we should be in the same mood that we would be for in governance. We should be serious. I don't understand. I just can't keep understanding. I just keep not understanding, why elections keep, the campaign mode for these two large parties, especially. I do see it being picked up by some other parties, unfortunately. I don't understand why the fet and the party and music and all these things. I don't know why is that necessary to gain your vote. If it's a fet and a party, you want to go out and fet and parties, Trinidad and Tobago, we have tons of that in this country. But if it's something that's going to affect the next 3 years of your life, in terms of what happens in your district, what happens in your area, the matters of crime and security within your district, are you safe? Do you feel safe for your children and your families? If these are not the things being addressed, then it just come out and dance with us and take a jersey. Yeah, ask us a question, we will solve it, or we will promise you we'll solve it without giving you any actual solution to the problem. Then, I encourage each and every one of you to start using your minds a little bit more and start realizing that is just people mama guy in here for your vote. And once again, I keep hearing a lot that, everybody come before us have something to say, and when they get in, there's a different story. I just have to keep reminding you, especially for local government elections in our history, right? It could have been 100 different faces you may have seen before you, if you want to put it that way. There's only two parties. Finally, you have options, right, within this local government election to choose different parties outside of the two large regimes that have been in control of this country for the longest while. And as far as I'm concerned, we're not seeing much benefit for it. Right? Crime keeps going up. Look, I keep saying I'm a PhD student at UTT in criminology. My project and my thesis is based on finding solutions to the serious crimes plaguing Trinidad and Tobago. And, looking at the crime rates since the 90s even, right? Straight up, it's not really dropped. And especially after 2010 going on to now, so in the last 10, 13 years especially, it's only been on the increase, so are we comfortable with that? Is the level of governance we're comfortable with? Do we not understand that we have both central governance and local governance, and these people have a role to play in all these aspects? Right? This is not just about our local. We keep thinking that local governments is just, that's the people who are to clean the drain and who are to fix the road and who are to make sure the grass cut. That may have been the practice in the past, but that is not all that's under the remit of the council. The councillor has a lot of options, as I said, for Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation alone. After salaries are paid out of the $270 million allocated per year, right, to Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation, there's only, you have $150 million left for projects from 16 councillors and 4 aldermen. 150 million divided by 2. They divide by, 20. Right? Look how much money each individual councillor or alderman, which doesn't really have the ability to delegate finances, but out of the 16 councillors, there's a lot of money to spend. Right? I'm not saying yes, it gets divided equally or anything like that, but it's a lot of resources that's available for various projects. Why it is finished so fast if it finishes? Because when a man tendered $2 million for a project, instead of giving that man the project, although he qualified, experienced, and have the equipment, the persons in the position of management elected decides to give it to somebody that would end up refinancing their campaign or their party or something like that out of the monies, and gives the man up the project for $10 million, wasting $8 million of the taxpayers' money and resources. Why? Because out of that $8 million more, that contractor might put back $2 million in campaign financing into the party or into that person's account. And just to remind you, that goes into that person's personal account. There's no bank account for party yet. That is not how it works. So you're registered with the EBC, you can't register with Legal Affairs, you cannot get a bank account for your party. So when campaign donations are made by anybody to the tune of $1 to $20 million and upwards, yes, you have to declare it if you're putting the donation, but you get the tax free on it, and it goes into that person's, that candidate's personal account with no oversight as to how it's being spent, right? No FIB, anything, nothing like that, right? This is why it's legal to get kickbacks, if you want to call it that. And that needs to change. I'm not saying we will change that at the council level. We are looking for your vote in general election 2025, as we've saw it in 2010, 15, and 20. This is why we believe that we in THC would make the best option for candidates for you this election, because 2025 is just less than 2 years away, right? Even if it's a full 2 years, that's still not our full term as councillors. When we put ourselves up for general election 2025 and we are seeking your vote to put us into a position into the general election in 2025, don't you think we know that? Don't you think we have to work our tails off to ensure over the next 2 years that you know that we are worth our salt and worth your vote in 2025? That's why we should be the best options for you in this local government election 2023. People who are seeking your vote in 2025. Everybody else might just sit back and relax, but we have to work. We have no choice. Far less, I mean, we want to do it. This is the reason we put ourselves in public. This is the reason we put ourselves in the position of to be elected for this position of local governance, right? So that we can help, and we can help fix our own communities, because we live here too. Keep reminding people of that. If you feel afraid to go outside at some point in the day or night, I have to feel afraid too, because I'm living in your district. It's the same thing. I am not above you in any way or anything like that, or below you for that matter, right? So we have to start to look at things more equally, and we have to start to realize that we have to put representation who actually cares about the positives and negatives that happen within the community itself, right? So yesterday I went into a whole tirade about why I think you, the electorate, should consider us at the very least to lend your vote this election. And I didn't go much into the points, because I said we had covered that in multiple meetings before, but we do have the time this evening, so I will run through those points again very quickly, right? Because one of the biggest questions, for the viewers who haven't been listening to us before, one of the biggest questions in anyone's minds who are hearing us for the first time should be, well, what are you offering? What can you bring? What are you saying you can do? Everybody going to clean the drain and fix the road and do this according to them. Are you doing something different? Well, yeah, we at the THC have major plans and policies that are, as far as we concern, things that you've never heard of at the local government level, things that you would normally hear at general election time. And the reason for this is because it seems that none of the candidates in the other parties seem to know how to bring these these ideals down to the local government level. So when they're discussing things like crime and security, you hear some parties talking about what they could do with unstuffing the containers and fixing the port and all that. You can't do that as a councillor. That's not under your remit, right? So what can we do as councillors if elected within our electoral districts in regards to crime? Well, we want to do three things here at the THC. First, we want to work with the police stations within our electoral districts. That would be St. Joseph Station in my electoral district of Valsine, St. Joseph. That would be West End Station for Glencoe, Goodwood, La Puerta area, where we have Zafir David contesting. Right, that would be Kumoto Station in Kumoto Tamana area, where we have Christopher Mathura contesting, and that would be the Tinapuna Station in Paradise, Cora, Tacarigua, where we have youngest candidate, 24 years old, master's student in chemistry, Lishon Gopi, contesting. Yeah, so we have what we want to do at these stations is, first of all, within the three-step plan, discuss with the supervisors of the stations, discuss with the persons that are leading those stations to work with them to develop more directed patrol routes and patrol times, right? Discuss with them, okay, we've noticed these problems within this area of the district. Maybe here needs a little more patrolling than here. Maybe these areas should be patrolled at night, and have officers on the road. And that will bring a number of benefits, right? First of all, we'll be increasing the presence and visibility, which has been shown through research and practice to decrease serious crime. One, we'll be decreasing response times because these officers won't have to come out to the station and then respond. They'll already be on track, on patrols, en route. And we'll be able to ensure that we have that availability for when people call, to have those officers at the ready, if you will. The second and most important thing I think we want to do in terms of crime reduction is set up an operation center for the St. Joseph's police station, for the West End, for Kumoto station, and for Tinapuna station, uh, at the stations themselves. Just like we have the National Operations Center in Port of Spain that monitors the cameras along the highways and so forth. Right, we would prefer to see this decentralized, just like local government is decentralization to a point, and set up these operation centers at these stations. 4 monitors, 4 large monitors, 10 terabyte or more hard drives, 2 laptops to run the system, and what we're proposing is 1,000 cameras, one on each corner of your electoral district. What will this do? Well, before we tell you what it will do, what will this cost? Well, usually when you hear projects of this tune from central governments in the past, you hear the cost price of something $10 and $20 million, right? This cost price, if you call one of the businesses in Trinidad and Tobago that can supply these items and supply the maintenance contract for it, you will realize, just like we did, that this will cost you less than $1 million TT to put 1,000 camera system monitored by the police stations within the electoral districts within your district. Now, what will it do? Well, if there's a camera in every corner, first of all, if the criminal element is coming in, we know which direction they came in from, what road they take, what direction. We could see the number plates a little better. We might see the car make and model and color. We could even see the point the faces, right, if they're not wearing masks, and depending on, how close and wherever it is, right? One, same thing for when they're going back out. That wouldn't stop crime immediately, but it will aid in better detection, better evidence collection, and of course, eventually act as a full deterrent when the criminal element realizes, oh my, we can be seen when we come into this area. They know where we're coming from. They know the cars. They know the number plate. They have evidence, and we know better we don't go and commit crime in this area. And that's not just me saying that. That's been proven through research and practice throughout the world. Everybody knows about England and the camera system that England has, right? That they can't go anywhere in London and these places without being seen, right? And what has it done? It has reduced their serious crime to massive extents. Yes, so it's a proven theory. It's something that's used in practice around the world, and we simply need to see it here. And if we can bring it at that cost towards the people, then we can do two more things. We can go through the media and ask central government 2 questions. 1, why when you do it costs so much more? And 2, if it is costing this price and this system is feasible and working, why can't you then spend the money through allocation from the budget and put it in all the 141 electoral districts? Because if it's $1 million or less, you're talking about less than $141 million. TT. I remember I just told you, Tinapuna Piaco Regional Corporation has allocated $270 million a year roughly, right, every year. Right, so to spend 141 million TT dollars, and it might sound like a lot to most of you all, but you have to remember we're working on a 24 billion US dollar GDP, right, and 12 billion US dollar budget, right. Easily 72 billion dollars is expended for the year by central government. towards all the aspects that it needs to cover. So 114 million TT dollars out of that billions, right? Out of that 14 billion or so is a drop in the bucket to do what? To increase the security in the country, to decrease serious crime rates, to actually maybe see less than one murder per day. I was watching news today, I think I counted 3. Over the course of last night and this morning, 3 murders already. Because Friday. Imagine that. This is how we talk in Trinidad. Oh, yes, well, it's Friday now, it's the weekend, so more than one person will die. This is where we reach. This is what we've come to accept. And this is nonsense. We need to stand up and get something better. And here you have a chance. Here you have a chance in, what, 12 days from now? What, the 14th, right? So less than 12 days, 11 days from now, right? To actually cast a vote for somebody who will realistically represent you and who will actually put their efforts towards reducing crime in the country, even at the council level, start to make an example of our electoral district and start to lead by example and show the rest of the country through the media, embarrass central government into action. That's what I'm talking about when I say force their hand, When I say force their hand into giving us better transparency, because of the transparency we will bring, right? And force their hand into giving us better value for money, because of the value for money we will show. Right, is really embarrass them into action, because you finally have somebody who will go out there who doesn't have to respond to either of the two large party leadership, right, and come out there because we have our own party and be able to say, look what this one doing and look what that one doing, and here's the evidence and the proof. Anyway, third plan. At the same time, while we're looking at crime and taking care of reducing crime within our districts, we believe it is necessary to increase the public confidence in the police, at least for the stations that we've just mentioned within the electoral districts that we intend to apply this policy to if elected. Yeah, and we want to be able to purchase the body cameras and the vehicle cameras. Not a lot of money. I didn't price those yet. I priced the 1,000 camera system, but I didn't price the vehicle cameras or the body cameras yet. But I guarantee you it's a way lot less money, because we're giving you actual costs and not inflated costs, because nobody getting no contract to give no kickback and all that stupidness, right? It's about actually giving you value for money, because this is what is my money, just like it's your money. I'm a tax-paying citizen, you're a tax-paying citizen, it's our money. Yeah? So we want to get the body cameras, get the vehicle cameras, get the GPS trackers and everything, and while they have the same monitoring system we setting up, all that being monitored one time. They have recording everything. So in case anything go wrong for later on, you have the recording, a 40-hour recording, a 4-day record, whatever you want to set up for it. We will get the hard drives to supply it. Right? So there's 3 crime plans that you haven't even heard from central government in our country to take care of the problems that I've just described. More than 1 murder per day usually. At least 1 per day. When have you heard those plans from the central government? Central governments. Right? I'm talking about 20 years, people are not against any one party or against any other party, and we're talking about the bad, and I'm not here to bring down anybody. I'm talking about in 20 years of governance, the 2 large parties having management positions within that time. What have you seen get better? When have you heard plans like these to actually reduce crime instead of running around the place? We just had a big regional security conference with the regional heads of governments. I was mystified by the conclusions that came out of that summit, that we should talk to America, and because we know firearms coming from North America, we should ask the US government to do something to stop that. Them can't control guns in them own country, right? Them have mass shootings at schools where children getting mowed down by automatic weapons. And we want to say, oh, okay, help us here now. Because why? Because we can't do it. Because why? It's not that, It's because the management team that we elected doesn't have the sense or goal to do it. And if I was a business owner and I see my management team doing that, I change them. Simple. As any prudent business owner would. Right? So when have you heard plans like this? Which councillor, we take it back down to local government, which councillor have you heard talking about actual crime reduction plans? Increase the municipal police. When last you see a municipal police officer do any real police work? Have you ever seen a municipal police officer? I mean, realistically, let's be real. Right? We also heard how much 46 municipal officers were just added. Divide that by the 14 corporations. How much municipal officers extra is that per corporation? 3. And what that is going to do? What kind of increase of the service is that? I hear next one talking about we're going to use municipal officers to guard the schools and all. They don't know the governments, including that one when they had the chance, has MTS doing that and have a contract out for private security. What they now thought about using municipal officers who getting paid to sit down and don't do that much to operate the security. Come on. When you're going to start to talk about digitizing the books, the same books that we're using over and over again, so that the parents who now coming out of a pandemic, a 3-year operation where everything was decreased, the whole economy, right? And especially for people who poor, right? When you're going to tell them here, well, we reduce you and give you an ease up. We can't do that as councillors. No, I'm not saying that, I'm talking about that. That's more of a general election plan. But again, the point is, when have you heard these plans like you're hearing from us at the local government level, from either local government or central government anytime? We're not brilliant, or well, I think I'm a little bright, but we're not brilliant and we're not geniuses. These are plans you could come up with. You don't know that if you put more police around, if you put cameras, it will slow down the crime. Obviously. But if you know it and I know it, why they don't know it? They know. Why they don't do it? That remains the question. All right. So my thing is to get into a position of management there, whereas at the council level, and use that position to start to ask these questions more officially. Start to push these ideals more. Try to get it done. Be a political activist, if you will, as a councillor. Let's move on to the other points that we have as the party. Right? We are talking heavily about transparency, and I'm committing to transparency on a level that, as far as my research shows, no government in the world has ever even talked about, far less for committing to, has ever even mentioned on a public platform, because they know they're not going to do that. I am committing to put my entire job online, YouTube, video, right? Video, my entire job, everything that pass in front of my eye will pass in front of your eye. All the project costs, all the revenues, all the invoices, all the expenditures, all the petty cash. Because that is a problem too. Everybody having lunch every day and petty cash, but that coming out of taxpayers' money, right? Everything going to get monitored. Call me a watchdog who could bite and bark, right? This is what we're looking to do. Start to clean up the mismanagement structures that we have within our system. These are the things that we need to see. We need to see things work differently to get better value for our money. What we're going to do in addition to that in terms of transparency is that any project that comes along, and the project costs X million dollars or whatever it is, instead of just telling you that, well, hey, this project costs $10 million, we got good value for money. We're going to scan every receipt, every invoice, and force that change to happen and put it on a tab on the website. So that you, the people, will know that within that $10 million project, the contractor didn't pay $2,000 for a hammer while you paying $40 in the hardware. He didn't pay $10 for a nail when you paying 10 cents. Understand? Because these are the things we deserve to see as the people who hire these individuals within our society to become managers for us. That's what we're asking you. We are here applying to you, the boss, right, to put us into that position of management of your resources in the country. That is what it is. We need to remember, this is not these people. Now they keep using those sentences, elect us into power. You can't tell those people power hungry. They're using the words in front of you. You can't tell that's all they're looking for. It's not a position of power, it's a position of management. You, the electorate, are the owners of the business, i.e. the country. You can't all run it because there's 1.5 million of us. So you hire a team willing to manage. My team is applying for the job. That's all this is. This is a job application to you. What do you do when somebody's applying to you for a job? You go and you dance and party with them. You take gifts from them like jersey and drinks and whatever else they want to give you free. That is what you do when you are hiring somebody for a job at interviewing. No. You check their qualifications. You talk to them and you try to gauge their intelligence. You try to gauge who they are, what they're about. You try to gauge their mentality, right? What they stand for, how they will react with people, what their customer skills is like, right? All of these aspects, you as an employer are supposed to check, and this is what we are doing. Just because the regular practice has become come out and dance with us from your house, no. This is governance. This is the next 3 years of all of our lives. This is management at the highest level in the world. Management of country resources. You have to hire people that are qualified to do the job, one, that are not going to go in there and corrupt the system and mismanage the system and thief the people money, right? Because that is, I mean, oh gosh, even if you have a business, that's one of the biggest things you're looking out for as a business owner. Managers who know how to thief money and write up books to show you that we don't have no surplus in the books this year. Is all deficits and is all equals. So if you're not going to accept that from a manager of your business, why are you accepting it from a manager of your country? Because why? You don't pay taxes. You don't think that is your money and your resources and your livelihood. You don't think you getting affected when your tire and rim bust on the road that bad. Who you think was supposed to manage that? And that's just one of a million different examples, because governance affects every aspect of our lives. School, food, water, shelter, all your necessities, all your needs, all your wants. Governance addresses a tax on everything that you buy. I'm not saying I remove it. I am just saying that governance affects every aspect of your life. When you buy cereals, them can't call no brands obviously because we're in a public meeting, but when you buy cereals with different colors and flavors, right? And you buy the American brands and you look at the back in the ingredients, you know what you see? You see a number of colors: yellow number 5, blue number 2, red number 9, la la la. You know, when you buy those same brands, same products, same brands, I said, in Europe, it had no yellow number 5 and blue number 2 and thing, you know, right? It have yellow from lemons, right? And blue from blueberries, right? Is natural colorings and flavorings. Why? Because their governance set the laws to ensure that the health of all their people is addressed and taken care of. They care about their people. What we can, it's the same thing. That's what governance is. Governance is setting these policies for you. Put us into central governance in 2 years, and you can see I can make here like that in that respect. It's the same thing with the food import bill. Beef is the 4th largest thing on the food import bill. Governments are talking about here in Trinidad and Tobago, right? We're going to reduce because both the government and opposition on the same side on this one. We're going to reduce the food import bill for beef. We're going to stop bringing it from North America. We're going to start bringing it from Brazil. Well, they don't know what's the meaning of the word import. What? You need a dictionary? I mean, come on. We need to start realizing that when we elect people every few years, we are affecting our own lives. We're not just affecting those individuals' lives, right? We're affecting each one of our lives in a number of ways, in every single way for that matter. Yeah. And if we consider this sincerely, then at some point we must come to the realization that we need better. We need better representation, more dedicated representation. We need more qualified and transparent management of the resources. And if we can't come to that realization and still decide that, well, everything going good and we're happy, that's up to you, and we have to respect that is your opinion and that is your option. We pray that the negative ills of our society, such as crime, don't have to reach home or close to your home before you realize, like the rest of us, that something needs to be done, and something needs to be done real quick. So don't wait till 2025 to put somebody else into a management position. Here you have us now saying, okay. You didn't give us the chance in 2010, 15, and 20 because you thought you would swing the vote and you thought your party would lose, and the next one. Same 2 managers that keep failing over and over. No problem. But now you have a chance in local governance. It have no swing in the vote. It have no my party go win and my party go lose. The same party that in governance now is going to stay in governance until the next general election in 2025. 16 councillors in Tinnapuna Piako Regional Corporation, or multiple councillors in each corporation. You have no chance of swinging no vote and undermining any party. Right? In fact, you could go tell your party you vote for them and you could vote for somebody else. Nobody will know. That's how voting works. Right? So start thinking about your life. Start thinking about your family's life. Start thinking about what's happening around you. Start thinking about the flood in your house every year. Start thinking about how much you have to lock up your gate and how much more you have to secure your property because of the level of crime in the country. Start thinking about, again, because of the level of crime in the country, where you can and cannot go anymore that maybe you used to go. We talked to friends, and an old friend of mine came across the other day. For 20 years ago, we're friends still, and reminding my girlfriend who's new, and other new friends who he hadn't met before, that a long time we used to go and hang out all on the mountain top. So we used to go in the night time by the radio towers, and we used to go up by Fort George and hang out all in the night and thing, 2, 3 in the morning. And that was we thing. We never used to I had finished my stage of partying and clubbing. I think I started a little early, so I stopped early too. Right? And that was the goal back then, to go and hang out and lime in them places. And we can't do that again because of the crime rate. You're taking a risk now that you could get robbed and shoot up there and remain up there until days till somebody find you. But nobody are going up there again. Right? This is the country we want to live in. Places that you can't go. You imagine I filmed a documentary with some international people or some foreign people in 2011. One of the statements we had to make in the documentary was they had to point out certain areas as we was passing down the highway and show them that, look, those are no-go areas. You can't go there. If you go there, you're taking a big, big, big risk, a risk of your life. Trinidad and Tobago, not Haiti, not Yemen, right? Not middle of the Congo, right? Trinidad and Tobago, 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. We are that far in distance, and I really do think we're that far in terms of what's happening over there elsewhere. Otherwise, I think we're really close to the situation breaking. I think we're really close to some issues, and I pray, to God Almighty, creator of heavens and earth and all things good and pure, that we don't reach to that stage, that we as the electorate start realizing that we have the power, that we are the ones, again, that hire the people to represent us. And, maybe we will realize at some point that the party and the loud music and the music truck and waving and jumping up and like carnival for your campaign time is people just, mama guying you for your vote. And if we realize that, maybe we'll start to see some difference in what happens at elections and what happens after elections, for that matter. Yeah. So, continue to ask you sincerely to just consider what we're saying. All our information is on our Facebook page, Trinidad Humanity Campaign. This is meeting number 11, as I said, of our public meetings, right? We've done one every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday so far for the last few weekends, and we have 4 more to go. So if you like what you're hearing, share, tell people. We need the advertising. We don't pay for advertising. We think that if we had that level of money to spend $250,000 on our 1-hour broadcast in the evening from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on one of the major television stations, we should take that and run by an ambulance and put it in one of the health centers, right? Instead of paying these exorbitant rates that we pay to rent ambulances in this country. And for those of you who do not know that yet, again, I pray that no situation has to reach home first for you to realize what actually happens in your country. Go out there and seek the information. If you're going to hire somebody for a job for the next 3 years that can affect your life and livelihood, then seek to be extremely informed as to what that person is about, who that person is, who that person is representing, and what is the track record so far of both the individual and the people that you're representing. Because as I said earlier, you might see 100 different faces before you in the past, but it's usually only represent 2 large parties. If they have to respond to their leadership, then nothing's going to change. So let's hope people start thinking differently. And back to the points. We have 2 more points again, which is the food security issues and the job creation. One might ask, well, how are you addressing food security issues from a corporation level? Well, I think it would be simple. First of all, the corporation is in charge of all the public lands within the corporation. There are a number of parcels of land within the corporation. I'm just talking my corporation. I talk about almost every corporation, right? Maybe not the cities, right? Because of the way it's structured and because of the small size of those corporations. But like Tanapuna Piako Regional Corporation, my corporation, you all know we're going straight down from uh, basically bordering with the Coover Corporation and the Central Corporations coming straight up north of Blanchy Shares. You know, Blanchy Shares is within our corporation, Santa Rosa Heights and all these places. So it's a huge corporation, not the biggest one in the country, but it's a huge corporation responsible for some of the highest number of citizens. So through that, we have a lot of responsibility and we have a lot of access of land, right? Especially going up north side, right? A lot of public land there. So instead of just cleaning it, maintaining it, and making it look all right? Why can't we convert these lands into gardens? Two types: community gardens for those who live in apartments and don't have access to yard space, but once they engage in cultivation, whether it is for their own personal use or for some small level of commercial sale, and then commercial access for larger scale farmers who know how to farm or know what want to get into different types of farming, must diversify it and make sure that they have different types, and as much as you don't want a country full of lettuce, basically, right? So you ensure, and corporation should manage that. Well, okay, well, we already have a man doing this on this land. Maybe you should do this. Well, we import broccoli a lot. Excuse me. We import broccoli a lot. Maybe we should encourage people to start doing this here, and started to encourage that animal husbandry, bringing the black Angus cattle and the corporation finance a man to bring in tree breeding trials, also put it on the land, build the pen and whatnot, and let him operate it, as he started to get back money from it, he could pay back whatever the corporation spent at zero interest. And then we have increased the food security. We didn't stop the imports from North America and fix it by importing from Brazil, because we still imported, still food import bill, right? We instead sought to address the needs of those foods for those foods within our own nation and address the sustainability aspect by production. Simply, that is all it is. Increased production. And made a comment on one of the TV stations and TV6's interview the other morning. Why we have to keep importing lamb chops from Australia. Do you think that the Australian environmental climate makes the lambs grow bigger there? Right? No. It's a different breed, right? And they don't have no intellectual property on those breeds. You could buy it from the people who have those breeds and bring it in and import it and set it up here and set up farmers here to breed it. So you could stop importing that and start supplying it. Maybe we could start supplying the rest of the Caribbean if we get big enough in the production of it. Well, we're not thinking along that. So what we discuss in food security at a country and regional level for the last decade, just for old talk. We're spending all this money to host summits and have summits and fly people to summits and eat our food and all these things. What? For old talk? We're not watching what's going on? How many of you all, when is the last time you all went to Mayaro Beach? When is the last time, when can you all remember what it was like 20 years ago for those of you all who are old enough? Can you all remember 30 to 60 feet of coastline, of sand? Mayaro sand was too long. It was too long to reach the water. Now it's so. And so, right over the banks and right up to the houses and covering houses and mashing up road and thing. You're not realizing we're seeing changes within our planet, and that governments of each country must address these factors before it starts affecting the public's lives. And just because you might be public in the center of the country and not live in Mayaro, it have public people in from the public live in Mayaro too. We have to take care of them the same way we're taking care of you with governance, because that is what governance is about. So all these aspects needs to be addressed by the leadership, and by leadership that you are seeking to put into that position of management, to hire, because you're paying from your tax money their salaries, to hire into that position of management. Yeah. This is the way we think we can address food security, at least from the electoral district, right? And again, all of these projects, all of these plans, the idea is that once we set it up and get it done and show it effective quickly, man, we're talking about next election and after, no. As I said earlier, for those who missed it, we want your votes in general election in 2025. So our candidates will be working their tails off to ensure every day to ensure that we get things done real quick. Soon as we get in there, within the first 2 weeks, you're supposed to see things happening that we've committed to. Right? From day one, you're going to see the transparency that we've committed to from the video camera on YouTube. Because from day one, you're going to see, right, Councillor Ramki soon, electoral district such and such, workday 1. And that will go on for workday straight up to 700 and something when we're ready to contest the general election. Right? We need to try to show you something every day, right? For you to know, hey, these people worth my time, boy. This is the people we're supposed to put into leadership and central governance. That is what we need from you now, right? So give us this trial position, if you want to call it that, in local governance, right? Towards the aim of getting better governance and central governance later on and from now, because as I said, we'll be pushing all of these ideals, projects, costs, and everything through the media to central government. For the first time in your life, you will see one of your councillors in the country come out in the media and say, hey, look what's happening here. Why? How? This is what needs to be done. Hey, what's going on? And pull up everybody's socks. Start to get better value for money, start to get better transparency, more accountability. Because if I call in for it so long, and if you give me the chance to do it, I doing it. Excuse me, sometimes I get a little passionate about these issues because, again, like you, I'm a citizen too, a tax-paying citizen, and I find that what we've had so far, not really making sense, not doing it for me. Not doing enough for me as a citizen, and not for me, for the area, for the country, right? This is why we chose to put ourselves in the public eye for the last 13 years, 2010, 15, and 20 general elections, and now, so that you can see who we are, and we can potentially make a change in all of our lives. All of our lives. Finally, folks, we'll talk about job creation, because every general election I hear a lot about job creation from the two large parties. We're going to create 10,000, 20,000, 70,000 jobs. I never get to see any manifesto or from listening to any of their candidates or how you are going to create this amount of jobs exactly. They might tell you how they're going to create 500, but certainly not 70,000. We had in our manifesto, I think 60,000 jobs or something like that in 2020, and we showed you, it's on the Facebook, and I would, just scroll down to 2020 and you'll see the manifesto and all the points, and we show you exactly how we're going to create these jobs for these people. Let's discuss it now from the corporation level. A lot of these parties also talk about jobs and jobs for youths and all these things, and associate it with the ideal of, okay, well, a lot of youths involved in crime. They're talking about the reason the youths involved in crime, because of the very, 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 very low quality and standard of their life, right? Brought on by governance, because as I just said, governance affects every aspect of your life, right? But they're living down and low and poor and hungry and can't, seeing things that other people have right around them and can't get through to get anything. Why? Right? Because of what education you think it is? It's because they're lazy you think it is? I can tell you that, yeah, that's the case in some cases, but really not for the most part, Really, that's not the case in the most part. It's a situation where people have found themselves in a rut. Look, sometimes for marijuana, for cannabis, right? That's why we work so hard at decriminalization over the years gone by, right? Because we've seen it. We've seen young people from 14, sometimes younger, right? And they get caught up in a scenario where they're in a car and one person had a joint in their pocket. Them, they have nothing to do with it. Good children too sometimes, right? And we're calling good children, I get bad children. No, because they all children. We all make mistakes as we growing up. We have to expect these things from children, right? Otherwise, we put them to work from children and call them adults, right? So, but you have these people now getting in trouble. They were getting in trouble for it and getting a court case. And when they have a charge against them, no tertiary education, no UE and no UTT wasn't taking them back then, right? To do no bachelor's and master's and PhD programs. So they found themselves in a place where they couldn't further their education if they tried. You find that when they went for certain jobs now, they say, oh, you got a charge against you, but they want to hire you now. And they find themselves in a position of rut for no good reason whatsoever, right? And can't get out of it. And it's governance that they need to get out of it, right? So sometimes these situations are forced, and sometimes these people want to get out of these situations. I think these youths sometimes don't realize that killing people is not the way, that youths dying right around them too, but it's to get out of it. So they need that guidance, that counseling, and the opportunities more than anything else to get out of it. Make fed up here, the other governments talk about, right, we can set up agriculture plan. Mind you, may see the agriculture plan set up yet. I keep hearing about it, but may seeing them being set up. You see a couple programs, and when you call them, when you see it advertised on Facebook, and you call them, oh, that expired tomorrow, or that expired a week ago. I call them myself, and these are the answers I got. So why it's still on Facebook advertising, and why it wasn't there before? How long will I advertise it for? 10 days. How long it was going on? 2 months. And you advertise it in the last week, including the 2 days after it done come now. Right? And then you're advertising for 200 people and you're only given 40 and 50 and all these kinds of things, the allowance to get into the project and into these policies and into these programs. Come on. Need to set these programs for 500-600 people, because if you have 500-600 people applying and showing you that they want to get into agriculture projects because they need and they have the ability and all these things, you can't tell me you want to choose 100 out of them 500 people as central governance. You can't find a place for them and put them into projects somewhere else. Behave. So we will take these lands and we plan for these lands for the food security already, so that we are sure that it will increase on job creation by itself. That food security plan I talked about, by allowing farmers to utilize the lands and do these things that increase the food security. Of course, that's going to increase jobs too. But not everybody agriculturally minded. And mind you, agriculture have a lot of money in it if you're willing to do the hard work. But not everybody is agriculturally minded. There's a lot of young people, especially, who are more entrepreneurially minded, or so they believe, right? So if you have a project and you want to open a store, a business, and you're talking about no one type of thing, I'm talking about multiple, anything you could come up with, right? And you find it's a good business idea. Well, obviously you're going to need help if you can't do it yourself to make a proper business plan, because that could cost a lot of money in some cases, and to get other supporting documents that you may need to apply for a government grant or loan. What I'm saying is that you will be able to come to us as the counselors, right? We will help you because we are qualified to draw the business plans and everything for you, help you get the supporting documents and guide you towards applying for this government grant or loan. And if after you do that process, you still don't get through, and we believe, okay, your project has merit. And when I say merit, I mean you're not going to get to set up a parlor or a computer business or a food place or a water business or anything next to somebody that's doing that, or right down the road from somebody that's doing that, right, to compete with people. And what we want to see diversity in business. We want to see more things and more infrastructure that is going to bring benefit to the communities and to the electoral district. So if your project has merit and can do all those things and achieve all those points, bring that benefit to the thing without competing with anybody else right around you, then definitely we are going to have a program that we set up within the corporation to finance your project for you. We will organize with paperwork, so you will give us, it's a zero interest loan. When you start to make money, you can pay back piece by piece. We want no interest on it. Right? We just want to set you up and get you going. Amidst all the cries that people are hearing about, oh, well, we're going and support one of the two large parties because when them in power, I don't like the word power, remember? Management, whatever they call it, right? When them in that position, I just get a walk. I just get some money. Seriously? What kind of walk you just get? CPEP? Oh, so you just get to go and clean the drain and cut the grass. Whilst, other people getting multi-million-dollar contracts that only cost $1 and $2 million. Whereas that money could have come and increase your same CPF contract if that is what you want, right? And give double the money you're working for, maybe, instead of 4% increases. Or those monies saving on those things, but saving on the mismanagement, could go towards financing all these projects I'm talking about. Your business needs $100,000 to start because you want to open a restaurant or something. All right, we need a restaurant. We need this type of food. You want to bring a Mongolian grill or something. We don't have none of that around in the district. That could work. People that like that, see it. Bring it down. We go finance it for you. In fact, I would like to do it in a way where we could even be profit sharing. Not we, the corporation could be profit sharing, and thereby bring, in addition to getting back the money it spends, bring some revenue from it. But I don't know how that works yet. I haven't gone through those rules yet, because remember, there's a new type of program we're aiming to set through the corporation level. So once we get in there through your vote and through being elected, we will address all those issues and get it done the right way, right? Because I don't want to misconstrue what I say and misunderstand. I'm just going to give you an example. A couple of people, when I go on my walkabouts, have said to me, hey, we will give you our vote if you give you a job. Well, first of all, no, right? First of all, because that is not the way to do it. If I come there and tell you, yeah, man, you give me your vote, when I get in there, I can get a work for you. Like what most people apparently do, from what I understand. then I doing one or two things. I either mama guy in because that is not the correct process at all, or I engaging in corruption too. And if I engaging in that small level of corruption to give you a walk, then you think I going to be the type of person who wouldn't engage in larger corruption when a man say, hey, boy, I bid in 10, that man bid in 2 million, I bid in 10 million, give me the contract instead of a throwback at 2 million in your bank account for you as a campaign donation legally. Of course, a person like that would take it. You need people with real integrity who not concerned about that, who not putting themselves in a position to leave a legacy for themselves. Right? They're supposed to be leaving a legacy of themselves. I want your grandchildren and your great grandchildren to say, hey, when that fella Ramki soon, when that Marcus fellow was given that position of management, he do so much to make our country better that we, the great grandchildren, still benefited by it. That is what I want. And that should be the goal of every person putting up themselves for public life and governance. Unfortunately, it's not. But in my opinion, it should be. We should be wanting to do the best for our country. My goal in this life is to do the best I can for the most people. At some point in my life, I reconcile with myself and say, well, you could do one or two things. You could either better yourself, meditation and energy, and raise yourself or whatever it is you want to put it like that, right? Or you could use your energy and your resources and you can help others. And I decide, you know what? I think it's better to help others. I use that example in one of the meetings, whether it's yesterday or another time, right? That I went to India in 2011. Not because I know heritage or nothing, I travel the world, right? I take my money. I don't go on fete and party. You don't go and see, I don't drink, right? Alcohol, right? That was for a long time, after older than 18 thing, right? But long time, that stopped years and years and years ago. Right? I don't party and waste my money there anymore. I watch how I spending money on my food. And you think I go and buy $100, $120 burgers, and then when I know a burger $35, I could buy my thing and make it home. You making joke. I save my money and I travel. That's my vice. I want to see as many places as I can. I want to meet as many people as I can meet. I want to go and eat their food and experience their culture and all these different things. Right? And when you start to travel, you'll realize too that everybody is the same. It don't matter where in this world you go, we're all humans and we all actually have the same level of thinking. It don't matter culture, believe you me, right? It doesn't matter. We all think the same. Right? So I don't want you to misunderstand me, but I think this is what people should do. So I was just telling you, I went to one of my trips around places. I went to India in 2011 and 100 children, less than 10 years old, surround me for food. I cry. Because come on, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to take my resources and say no. So I prefer to help people. I want to. That is what I found the greatest joy to me to be, helping others, and that is what I want my life to be when I can afford it. And before I can afford it, which is all now and for the last 10 years plus, I've been doing it regularly. I had a little soup business in 2010 for a year and a little bit more. Every morning between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, we used to go to Riverside Plaza and feed the adult homeless guys down there. Everybody down there know me well because we sitting down and we getting you bowl by bowl by bowl and waiting with you, right? How you mean? Because as human beings, we understood from those people that it had some other soup. People used to come and drop soup and they just used to drop the bucket and expect these fellas to go and dip in the bucket with their hand and drink soup because them is animals now, because they're homeless. You talk to these people down there and you realize some of these people were people that were middle class families and just lost everything in house fires. Not drug addicts and all these things, and they do it to themselves like we like to think, right? A good number of these adult people down there at the shelters down there were people who lost their resources due to natural disasters or some other man-made thing like again fire or something like this, right? And didn't have enough to come back from it, and now had no choice but to live in an adult shelter. Why something that happened to you or me anytime? We had to start to think a little more compassionately, people. We had to start to respect people for the human beings that they are, So this is what we're looking at. I've listed out for you 4 major points, of course, in addition to all the general maintenance of the public facilities that we need to maintain and is the common practice of corporation and councillors. In addition to that, we are bringing you plans and policies that has not been put forward in our understanding by anyone else yet within our country, right? And plans and policies that should be put forward by every government right? And at every level of governance. And this is the things we want to force. We want to force the hands, embarrass the others to ensure that they do this, to give us the level of transparency where, as I said, every receipt and invoice is scanned. We know you're not paying $2,000 for a hammer as opposed to the $40 we paying in the hardware. We want to see everything, right? And at this day and age of technology, that is very easy stuff to do. So we need to start to see these things, and we need somebody to fight for it. Here we are at the Trinidad Humanity Campaign, ready to fight for us, all of us. You, me, your children, my family, everybody included. Because we live here too. And whatever you going through, we going through. Whatever you feeling, we feeling. We need to secure the place for ourselves. We need to increase the standard and quality of living for everybody in the country. We need to address the issues from the local government level, and as a councillor, seek to address as many issues as we could put forward at the central government level as a councillor. Because again, you never see a councillor do it before because they under one of those two large parties. They can't talk. We will talk a lot. Yeah. So help us, help you fix this place. That's basically what it comes down to. So I'll leave you all at a few minutes early, 4 minutes early this evening, 3 minutes early this evening. I thank you for your time and your consideration of what we've put forward. I ask you to check our Facebook page and especially read the post and the commitments. There's a post with a flyer with 3 pages of writing which lays out all our plans that I keep discussing here at these meetings. It tells you who we are, what at least for me, what my qualifications are as the leader of the party and the candidate for St. Joseph Valsane, who the party is, how long we've been contesting, and a number of points that we ask, things to remember, like it's not a general election, there's no splitting of the vote, right? Make a statement to both of the large parties this local government election and show them that, look, we're willing to put a different party, somebody from a different party in there because we find you're doing your job poorly. And make that statement, and hopefully it will reach their ears and they will pull up their own socks a little bit too and start giving us better governance under whatever they're doing already in their respective positions, right? So use us at the THC to achieve better governance for all of us. That's all we say. Yeah. So thanks for your time. Join us tomorrow, Sunday, 6:30, not 6, but 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. We're doing our walkabouts again tomorrow. I think tomorrow we might do South Valsane, we might do St. Joseph. I'm not sure. But look out for us. If you receive something in your mailbox, check it out, read it, please. If you haven't, look it up on Facebook. Check Trinidad Humanity Campaign. Check out those posts. Check out what we're committing to, and see that we have plans and policies that are different from everybody else. And as far as I'm concerned, way ahead of seems everybody else's time. There's things that are being done in other parts of the world, so I don't think it's really ahead of time. I just think it's ahead of these guys' times who are running and contesting against us. So check us out, see what we're about, and join us here tomorrow and one more time next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Right, same THC time, same THC channel, and we give you thanks for taking the time out tonight. See you tomorrow, and hopefully see you in elections with your support. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good night. Stay blessed.